10 states with the highest sales tax. Ooh, interesting. Remember, income tax isn't the bugaboo that a lot of people think. When it comes to retirement planning, income tax is the least of the big three. The big three would be sales tax, property tax, and income tax. Income tax isn't that big of a deal, at least from your state. It's the feds, but unless you are expatriate, repatriate, I don't know what it's called. Unless you leave the good old U.S. of A., income tax from the feds is there. So there's not much you can do about that. It's a sales and property tax you got to contend with. I'm just telling you. So let's look at this Kiplinger's article. I think it's pretty cool. A dateline November 16th. Before you embark on a shopping spree, make extra room for your budget if you live in these 10 worst states for sales tax. So let me share with you a story. When I was growing up, my exposure to sales tax was pretty interesting. So I think once a year we go to see the Red Sox down in Boston. Or maybe once every other year, I can't remember. But anyway, we'd go down there. I just remember when I was a kid, every couple times we went to Boston to see the Red Sox. And we'd come back and would always stop in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, so my dad could go get his smokes and his booze because New Hampshire had no state sales tax, whereas Maine did. All right, so you had Kittery, Maine. You had Portsmouth, New Hampshire. There's Portsmouth, New Hampshire. There's Kittery, Maine. I just remember this roundabout. You stop right there. Liquor store, get cigarettes and booze, and then we go through the border to Maine to avoid paying state sales tax. I'm telling you, man, incentives drives people's behavior. That's for sure. So let's take a look at this. People make decisions based on that stuff. We got 20, 40, 50, 45. That looks like a 50 right there, right? A 50. No, it's a 20. Okay. So they got some scratch there. Did you see my video I posted from Nick Johnson? Free $500 he gave to some lady in Kingston, North Carolina. It's a good video, man. It's a good video. So before we talk about that, our biggest offender clocks in at 9.55% once both state and local sales taxes are factored. However, retirees and other relocators shouldn't judge a state solely by a state's sales tax. While this expense might be costlier in some areas, residents in the state with a high sales tax may be able to reap the benefits of other tax-related perks, such as not having to pay state income tax. All right. So, 5 states with no state sales tax? Is it really 5? Okay, so we'll look at this and look at that one next. New York. Now look at this. There's no trees. There's literally no trees. Who wants to live in a place with no trees? I don't get that. Why would you want to live there, man? Forget all that. Didn't the Twin Towers just be down here in Battery Park? Isn't that Battery Park down there? I don't get it, man. The state sales tax is only 4%, but localities can put as much as 4.875 in. And the average combined sales tax in New York is 8.52%. Ooh. In the metro area of New York City, there's an additional 35 or a 0.3537% sales tax to support transit. On top, clothing and footwear that cost less than $110 are exempt. Groceries and prescription drugs are exempt as well. Vehicles are taxable though. All right, there you go. New York is just expensive. Kansas, let me just double check, make sure my spouse isn't texting me. I thought I had a call here, and it turns out my call isn't until. All right, cool. All right, my call isn't until 1:30, so that's good. Kansas, all right. Overall rating, least tax friendly. 6.5% is the state sales tax. Localities can add as much as 4%, though. And the average combined is 8.68. The rates also apply to groceries, motor vehicles, clothing, and prescription drugs. California, that is pretty, though. Look at that. That is pretty, man. That reminds me of Arizona. State sales tax is 7.25%, but localities can average as much as 2.5%, and the combined is 8.68%. Groceries and prescription drugs are exempt from these taxes, but clothing and cars are taxed. What do we say about Kansas with grocery? Kansas, the rates also apply to groceries, clothing, prescription drugs, and cars. So they're not only getting you on high tax, but they're getting you on the stuff that you consume. Nuts of that. Illinois, shocking. 6.25% is a state levy, but localities can average as much as 4.75%. The average is 8.8%. Food and drugs are taxed, but only at 1% by the state, and clothing and motor vehicles are also fully taxed. So food is taxed, but only 1% by the state, but I guess they can still be taxed at 4.75 in the locality. Oklahoma. What's that? I don't know. 4.5 is a state levy. Localities can add as much as 7%. Man, the average combined is 8.95. Prescription drugs are exempt, and motor vehicles are taxed at a rate of 1.25, which is significantly lower than the state sales tax, but they also have a 3.25 excise tax. Groceries and clothing are also taxable at 4.5% plus local taxes. Damn, so they get you every which way to come in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma's on my list. Alabama, state sales tax, 4% levy. Localities can add as much as 7.5. The average combined sales tax in Alabama is 9.22, according to the Tax Foundation. Drugs are exempt, but groceries and clothing are fully taxable, while motor vehicles are taxed at a reduced rate of 2%. But I tell you, man, that's why you guys learn how to grow some of your own food. Washington State, they're all, that's all shut down now because a good governor and the stupid mayor, like, oh, justice for Antifa, justice for Antifa. State sales tax is 6.5. Municipalities can add 4% to that, with the average combined rate at 9.23. Groceries and prescription drugs are exempt, thank goodness. Clothing is taxable, as are motor cars, but there is an additional 0.3% on sales of motor vehicles. Louisiana, 4.45 is the state levy, but localities can add as much as 7%, and the average combined sales tax in Louisiana is 9.5. Whoosh. Groceries and prescription drugs are exempt, but localities may tax these. So clothing and motor vehicles are also taxable. Number 2, Arkansas. State sales tax is 6.5. Localities can average as much as 5.13, and the average combined is 9.53%. Prescription drugs are exempt. Grocery items are taxed at 1/8 of 1%. All right. Additional local taxes may apply. Motor vehicles are taxed if the purchase price is $4,000 or more. 7% tax rate in Texarkana. Clothing is taxed at the standard rate. And then lastly, Tennessee, man. Sales tax is 7% state levy. There's also an additional tax of 2.75 on sales of single items that applies to the portion of the sale price from $1,600 to $3,200. Can't follow that. Localities can add 2.75 with an average combined rate of 9.5. Groceries are taxed at 4% by the state. In addition to any local taxes, clothing is taxed at the standard rate. Cars are taxed at 7% plus an additional 2.75. There's no tax on prescription drugs. I just don't get the prescription drug thing, man. But I need that. We need food too. Anyway, so they're the top 10. That's interesting. So the South, Illinois. But the reason why the South is because there's no low income tax, low property tax too. But there you go, top 10. Next, stay tuned. We're going to read the 5 states with no sales tax. I know Oregon is one. Alaska? All right, hang in there.